the 1st of January of 2020. If you missed yesterday, I want to thank you guys all for the year that we had.
This is Ryan Tracy with your daily update from Locked On Chiefs.
2 million downloads in 2019 was a banner year for us, and we're going up and onward from here, and it's all thanks to you. Thank you to every single listener, whether you're subscribed on one of the services or you just check in with us every now and then. Big year. And there are big things ahead for this team. Now that they've gotten the bye week, which really helps the team get ready for its postseason run, it does put a little bit of stress on what's going on with the coaching staff.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And the one name that keeps coming up for Kansas City is Eric Bieniemy is looking to have at least 3 different teams that want to interview him this week while they are on a bye.
Yeah, and that's I've gotten a lot of questions about that in the last 24 hours. That's what can happen. If you are on a bye, coaches can take interviews. They don't have to. Most of them will if it's for a head coaching position, though. We saw this happen with Josh McDaniels last year or the year before, whenever that was with the Indianapolis debacle. The teams interested in Eric Bieniemy, I think, are getting in there early because it is a successful team that has this window during the bye week. And quite frankly, I think part of it is trying to get candidates that fit the Rooney Rule so that you can interview them early and have that out of the way and then evaluate everyone on kind of an even keel at that point. I just don't know that if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I like any of the teams that are really looking.
Yeah, really hard to know why you would want to go to the different places that seem to want to hire him. Carolina might be the only place that I would really consider if I was Bieniemy, because the Browns just let go of John Dorsey, so who knows who's going to be the GM there. I don't want to go to work with Dave Gettleman in New York, so to me it would be a Carolina issue, but who knows who's going to be the GM there.
That's the big question. And the news just now, folks, as we're recording this, came out about John Dorsey. I thought it was a mistake that to back Kitchens and then fire him literally right after the show. I don't think he should have been a head coach in the first place, but I don't think you can lay everything at Freddie Kitchens' feet either. So that is a total mess. New staff, new GM, same story in Cleveland. I feel for Nick Chubb, who I think isn't going to be an elite player in this league. And everything is really keeping Baker Mayfield out there from achieving any of his, I don't know, limited is what I would say. I had him as way down the list of quarterbacks when he came out, and I don't know that he's going to reach his potential in that town. So I agree with you. Cleveland out. The only thing I would say about New York is that I agree with you about Gettleman. That's an iffy proposition. But the prospect...
He hired computer folks. And he had in a big analytics guy.
Who, Haslam? With Paul D. Podesta still being in Cleveland?
Gettleman. That was the big story of the day. Is he hired a couple of computer folks and had a big analytics guy come in. And to me, that's just a joke. If you're not doing analytics in this day and age in the NFL, you probably shouldn't be a GM. So to me, New York would be out. The other. Well, sorry, go ahead.
If you still refer to them as computer folks, I think that's a good thing too.
Yeah.
But I was going to say the only thing that might be enticing for Eric Bieniemy, given his background, is Saquon Barkley. To have a back of that caliber might be a little bit enticing, but I agree with you. I think the rest of the organization is just so messed up. I don't think he's going.
Well, and Carolina, I mean, if you start looking at what Carolina has, you could go there and you could have Christian McCaffrey, but you really don't have a quarterback there. So, maybe that's a position you wouldn't want to take either, because I don't know that Cam Newton is going to be that guy anymore. And, Allen doesn't seem to be the guy there either. So Bieniemy's choices really don't seem that great. I do think he could be a great head coach, but it's going to take an organization that's going to give him more than a year, which Cleveland would not be an organization I go to just because of how quickly they go through coaches. And I don't see that changing in the future.
Yeah, well, I'd say this too about Carolina. I don't want to be the guy that goes in there and says, we're done with Cam. That can't, you don't want to be the guy that makes that decision as your first major move of your head coaching regime. Again, the back is intriguing. I'd put Christian McCaffrey right up there with Saquon Barkley, and definitely brings West Coast option. I think that McCaffrey would excel in an offense that's based on reads. But I agree with you. That's a tough call too. Quite frankly, I don't know that Eric Bieniemy is going to get offers because we haven't seen him call complete games here in Kansas City yet, like we saw with Doug And Matt, I think that maybe this is a year premature, but starting to get that reputation out there. He is a very dynamic leader and a guy that can rally a room. And I think that's very key in this particular league if you can get the rest of your staff hired that can actually do the X's and O's for you.
This has been your Kansas City Chiefs lead story from Ryan Tracy and Chris Clark of Locked On Chiefs.